A lot of times people gauge solar maximum off of sunspots and solar flares. But there's a lot more activity going on with the sun. Yeah, look at that, man. Look at that. I mean, that's the size of the sun. That is just nutty. Smoking solar dope, it's bad for you.
Gitmo must warn America by doing business with oppressive Cuban regime. America destroy its moral standing.
Active volcanoes.
Enjoy.
Stay cool. This is a THORnews presentation.
THORnews presents.
Here's the whole story, man. And if you're new, I say dumb stuff all the time. Like,
What?
well, notice how it flares out, and then it sticks out, and then it ticks out. So right there, from the 21st through today, it's a giant freaking laser beam. I would like to say something ahead of time. I don't hate anybody, and I do everything I can to like people, find something likable about them. And so it's a real drag when people get mad when I like people. Hello and welcome to the 1,000,001 episode of the minimal solar maximum that was double peaked, really weird, and never ending. I'd like to say hello to the new subscribers. I got a large uptick of new subscribers today from a shout out by Suspicious Observers who I had the pleasure of meeting yesterday, and I can't tell you how great it was to sit and talk with someone for 3 hours about things I am very interested in. I was always a Suspicious Observers fan. Him, Dabu, and Dutch Synths were the inspirations for me to start my channel. So I thank SO for that. And I just want to warn all the new subscribers that I'm totally different from SO. I enjoy mixing in a lot of comedy with my science. I'm not here to tell you what is what and why things are the way they are. I'm just here to point out the weird crap, man. And for 2 years, yes, the sun has been very weird, as I have been pointing out. And I'm making this video. As I'd mentioned before, I nicknamed this thing the wedding dress, because it looks like, let's say the sun was a bride, and this is her wedding dress with the long train, right? Well, notice how it flares out, and then it sticks out, and then it ticks out. So right there, from the 21st through today, it's a giant freaking laser beam. I mean, if you have a science term for that, I would like to know what it is. I don't think technically it's a solar flare or coronal mass ejection. It's a giant freaking laser beam that the sun is shooting out at something for what appears to be over a day. X-Class 1.8 solar flare on the 20th. So our giant plasma beam, light beam, laser beam, whatever you want to call it, man. I guess technically it starts on the 20th right there. And notice how 21st at 1916, that thing moves over as I assume the object the sun is interacting with is moving. And look at that. I mean, it is clearly a giant sun laser beam. Usually I'll nickname them like a lightsaber or a staff, a sword or a dagger, but that is just a full-fledged tractor beam, I guess. I don't know, science boy, science girl, why don't you take your PhD and tell me what the hell that is? That is not normal. And notice the clock, like nature, like it's the long hand going counterclockwise. It's moving with something. It's clearly interacting with something. Question is what? So if you notice the sun movements, its rays kind of tick around like a clock, but then the giant beam kind of goes counterclockwise. One of the things we've been watching here at THORnews, us astonishers who are awake and aware, paying attention, the magnetic loops in the sun have been giant, massive, way bigger than anything I've ever seen, and they've been persistent. All right, I'm in the mood for some eggnog. What about you? Will we get a Christmas solar surprise? I know the M-Class and X-Class flares were Earth-directed. It'll be interesting to see what type of an effect they have on Earth, if any. I know the auroras have been amazing. Sweet. Glad. So you notice these big swaths here? Crazy stuff. I got sick and tired of feeling blue. I got sick and tired of dealing. What the hell was that? The ninjas are here. Stop making fun of professional science. It's not a laughing matter. And I'm like, okay, then can you do me a favor? Stop making science look like such a joke. You know? Zing, that is not right. We all know professional science is always right, and I am always wrong. And if you're new, I say dumb stuff all the time, like, hey baby, what are you wearing? Which to me is funny because, you know, there's, I don't know, it's absurd. Sometimes absurd makes me funny. All right, back to the sciencey stuff. Filaments. See, look at that loop, giant filament loop. These arcs. Now, a lot of times people gauge solar maximum off of sunspots and solar flares. But there's a lot more activity going on with the sun than just sunspots and solar flares. Like magnetic loops, like solar filaments, solar tornadoes, solar towers, and the overall corona. Sometimes it looks tight. Sometimes it looks like a sweater that's being unraveled. Okay, we're over here at the stereo Ahead HI1. So this is our X-Class 1.8 Firestar coronal mass ejection. Thank you, beautiful. And notice the chunk that comes out. And so I'm pretty sure this is the ray. I think this is the ray as it's growing. Maybe not. Okay. In this camera, stereo Ahead HI2 is a THORnews favorite because it always looks super doomy and weird, but no doom ever comes from it. For example, you've got Jupiter here, and you have this round thing is Jupiter. The other round thing behind it is the Beehive M44 galaxy. Why does it look round? Why does it look like it has a moon? The official professional amateur astronomer definition given to me is that embossing. When they emboss the photographs, it makes a nebula look like a planet with a moon, I guess. And I'm not going to argue with them because I'd like to live through at least 2014. Yeah, look at that, man. Look at that. I mean, that's the size of the sun. That is just nutty. Look how it just sticks there. It's gotta be pointing at something. Can one of you super amateur astronomers figure out what the hell it's pointing at? That would make me very happy. Ooh, look at that on the 19th. That's almost like a solar gash. It's more of a solar gash than it is a sunspot, wouldn't you say? Man, watching these things grow was always so trippy. It should give you an idea of size relation compared to the sun, sunspots, and the earth. And then even you're tiny in this whole scale. Whoa, look at that. It's a big chunk that breaks off. Goodbye, I'm free. Whoa, man, that's a lot. Look at that. Look at that. And I always like to imagine that plasma could turn into a planet when it cools off. And I've also guessed that, hey, maybe the sun shoots out plasma into space and then it flies into other galaxies because it's a crazy idea, I know. Yeah, so this whole area has been the one that's been firing off all the sunspots. And if you'll notice, like there, that's incredible. It creates like a tidal wave effect that rips off a lot of the corona. That is a very busy, very active. Now, there's nothing to worry about as far as outer space, man. If you're going to worry about your politicians and the economy. You know what I'm saying? Those are scary things. Yeah, if you just look at this area, as far as the filaments and all the plasma activity, and then this area, this is as active as I've ever seen the sun. I mean, lots of plasma is coming off here and here. There seems to be an uptick of mass the sun has lost in the last few weeks. Like, I can't say enough about that area. It's just going crazy, man. That's a pretty big comet, eh? It's a planet-sized comet. Or coma. Yeah, that's the CME, that's the X-Class flare from the 20th. It leaves the sun with a conical tail. And when you science guys track back that whole area and tell me where it's coming from. Just incredible, ladies and gentlemen. This is over the month, and we don't usually get sunspots that high. Smoking solar dope, it's bad for you. Nancy Reagan and that guy from South Park agree. Smoking solar drugs is bad for you, man. Yeah, that totally looks like a gash. I would say it almost looks like the sun has solar herpes, but that might scare off some of my new viewers. Okay, look at that. They're perfectly lined up, and I don't ever recall seeing a sunspot that high. But it makes it feel good. So yeah, this is the best example of that. What is here? What is the sun pointing at? I know someone's going to say the sun's not pointing at anything. Wow, did you see that V? The sun likes to make V's for whatever reason. And what are these hard, straight lines of darkness that are showing up on multiple cameras? Man, there's so much trippy stuff going on. I'm rendered speechless, but only momentarily. Wow, look at that, man. Yeah, it's on the 21st. Look at all that rip off. See, here's one of the other lines of darkness I was speaking of. Hey, God bless everybody. Have a great weekend. Have a great week. Merry Christmas. Happy Hanukkah. Crazy Kwanzaa. Fun Festivus.